I'm Bikelifeben and I've made over 150 million views without anyone knowing anything about who I am. And with this video I want to change this. I let you guys ask you many different questions about me and today I will answer them all. The questions in this video will be divided in 3 different kinds. So there will be questions about my skills, questions about my bikes and questions about my social media journey and my inspiration. And then without further ado, let's get started. Charles asked me, how do you rate your level? I would say my level is above average, but there are always people doing better, especially since I have a pretty wide spectrum of tricks. Let me explain. Some people only do combos, so of course they are better at combos than me. Other people, however, only do seat stands and hand drags, for example the Brazilians, so of course they are also better at seat stands and hand drags than me. I, however, always wanted to be able to do many different tricks, meaning I don't specifically excel at a specific trick, but I have a more versatile riding style than others. On fixed gear wheelie bike I am one of the best in EU, but that's also since there are not many people at all riding those kinds of bikes here. LK on Wheels asked me, what is the worst crash you have had on a bike? So the worst crash I ever had was back in 2021 on this road right here, when I wanted to try a frame wheelie, but I slipped off the frame and kissed the ground with my head first. It broke my glasses and I still have the scar in my eyebrow to this day and it really hurt. User asked me, how did you learn to wheelie on fixed gear? So for me, learning wheelies on fixed was actually a really fast process since I converted a bike that I already rode for 2 years. So I really just had to get used to braking with my feet. After 2 hours of practice I was able to wheelie for about 10 seconds already. And on the second day of practicing I was able to do wheelies for more than a minute and got my first one-handers. All that was only so easy because I was already used to the bike and didn't need to adjust to something entirely new. The bike I converted is also the bike that you guys see in my shorts today, and I already rode it like 2 years before converting it to fixed gear as a freewheel bike with normal brakes. Tyler asked me to show my best trick on every bike I have. On my PK Ripper it's definitely a tie between no-foots that you see right here or the helis, which are many bar spins in a row without dropping the wheel. On my Fat Quad it's definitely this one-hand seat stand, just watch. And on my X1 it's definitely hand drags. Then someone asked me what my favorite trick is in general. But I cannot find the question anymore, but I'll show you anyways. And to that I have to say that it has to be the seat stand. I have no trick that is more fun and feels more free than this one. You just go super fast, stand on top of your bike and it's no better feeling than this trick. JT Lyrics Edits asked me, how old are you? I am currently 22 years old as of filming this video. Toasty asked me, are you German? Yes, I am German und wenn ich mehr Videos auf Deutsch machen soll, schreib's gerne in die Kommentare. Julius asked me, which job are you doing in your private life and what is the most dangerous trick on your bike that you can do? In my private life, I'm currently studying business informatics in the 6th semester of the bachelor at a technical university. And parallel to that, I'm doing a full-time internship for 3 months as a requirement for my bachelor thesis. Samuel asked me, why is your city always empty? That is a question I get asked quite a lot, so I'm gonna explain. Basically, the city I live in looks like it's a big city in my videos because of the many big houses and buildings, but it's actually a pretty small city with only about 30,000 residents. I also often ride at times where many people are still at work because I can go home earlier because of uni. I try to avoid riding in places where there are many people around because I don't want to film the people I don't know without them knowing, and it's also safer in terms of practicing tricks when it comes to crashing so I don't hurt anyone else. Raphael asked me, what are you doing when you don't ride your wheelie bike? When I don't ride my bike, I'm either at work, in uni, or I hang out with my girlfriend or my homies. I also sometimes have phases where I play video games, like last year for example, where I completed Zelda Twilight Princess for 100% and played through Terraria Calamity mod. Sandy asked me, how long have you been riding? I've been riding for about 5.5 years already, and I started riding more and practicing wheelies around November 2020. I haven't really had a pause longer than 2 weeks since then. It's it's just too much fun. However, I started taking it even more serious when I started posting on social media back in February of 2024, riding about 4 times a week on average. One wheel GM asked me, how long did it take you to wheelie? So the wheelie itself was actually the trick that took me the longest to learn by far. I started trying wheelies in November 2020, as I already said, but I was able to hold them and use the brakes accordingly in March 2021. So wheelies took me about 5 months of daily practice to get them down. Austin asked me what my longest wheelie is. My longest wheelie was 49 minutes long, and I have a short and a long form video uploaded on my YouTube channel, so you guys can rewatch it and also know that it's real. I have done it on my track Roscoe 8, which I unfortunately already sold. Hildes asked me, how many bikes did you get in your entire life? So in my entire life I had 9 different bikes, and the last 4 of them were wheelie bikes, including those 3 right here. Defo MTB asked me, did you always like riding bikes, or when did you get into bikes? Yes, I always liked riding bikes, and I got my first bike when I was a kid, and it was a push bike. After then I always loved riding bikes, and I never had a pause really. One Up Avery asked me, what is the best bike to get as a beginner? The best bike to get as a beginner is a topic I will make a long form video on actually, so stay tuned for that. Harry Wrights asked me what my favorite bike is. Out of the bikes I have, this one, the fully custom Collective Bikes X1, is definitely my favorite, and I have a long form video on it already, so you should definitely check that out. One Wheel Hector asked me if I think to ever switch to mountain biking. So I've never really thought about it, but I have many friends who only ride mountain bikes, so maybe it'll happen in the future, who knows. Justin asked me, what or who inspired you to get into bikes? So back in the day, some of my friends always knew how to wheelie, and it fascinated me a lot. However, I was never able to pull the front wheel up. Then, about a year later, I reconnected with a friend I first met in elementary school. And he was eager about wheelies and pretty good at them. Then, while we were hanging out, he motivated me to just keep trying the wheelies and keep pulling up the front wheel. And then one evening, I finally got it. I got my wheel up for the first time. And that was the start of everything. After that, me and Justin, which is the name of the person that motivated me, it's funny because it's not the same Justin that asked me the question, but it's funny they share the same name. And we rode every day in quarantine, so during coronavirus. The nice thing was that he always was a little step ahead of me. So when I learned wheelies, he learned circles. When I learned circles, he learned one-handers and so on. So he was always just a little bit ahead, which meant that he could always teach me, but it was never so far ahead that it seemed impossible for me. So you could say I always loved bikes and rode them here and there. Justin was the person that really showed me that bikes can be a nice hobby. The next question is from Sandy, and I was asked, what got you into bike life? As I already said, Justin got me into bikes and wheeling, but not into bike life himself. That I found through Instagram, and I saw people like One Way Boogie and Jojo and D-Blocks on Instagram posting their clips of doing combos and doing in general just crazy tricks in the wheelies. And I was like, damn, you can do more than just riding a normal wheelie? And that set a flame in me, thinking I want to do the same. And after that, about 3 years after, I bought my own first wheelie bike. The next question was from Paul, and he asked me, why did you start with YouTube? So as I already said, I started wheelie biking in 2020 when I learned wheelies with my friend Justin. However, in 2023, it was actually my girlfriend that motivated me to get a real wheelie bike and to start doing real wheelie tricks. And so things came together, and I got my PK Ripper, which you guys still see in my POVs today, just totally rebuilt. So you won't probably recognize it really from the old pictures. I then rode this bike for a year, and then it was 2024. And I had made it a New Year's resolution of mine to finally start posting on Instagram to document my bike life journey and to also make myself a name in the bike life scene. And so the account ben.hslmn started on Instagram, where you all can still see my oldest posts and my first posts ever and so on. And trust me, I never thought that I would ever hit 100,000 subscribers in my life. It's totally crazy and doesn't feel real. And yeah, from the making of this account, the rest is really history. I just went out with my girlfriend and she filmed the first clips for me. And this is the first reel I ever made, so you can look it up on my Instagram as well. The next question is from my good friend Tyler, and he asked me, who is your inspiration inspiration in bike life. When I found out about bike life, it wasn't a long time until I found out about German bike life. In the German bike life scene, there was one really famous person on Instagram, and his name was Gero or Gero. And he always stood out to me because he was able to perfectly mix nicely edited video with super clean, unique tricks. And he really invented tricks that no one else has done before. And I wasn't just inspired by his videography skills, but also with his trick skills, and I also copied some of his tricks to see if I can do them as well. And now he's also a good friend of mine because we met a few times on some rideouts. Otherwise, from Gero, you could always say that people like La Plaga or Chris the Surfer or Rosati are big inspirations because they just show that it's possible to make a living off bike life and to get this really big social media presence, to just live your dream pursuing bike life, which is a really big dream of mine. And I think that one day I will be able to do this soon, to just live solely off bike life. Skill-wise, I'm also pretty impressed by the LA kids doing their wheelies on fixed gear. I just show some names right here and you can look them up on Instagram. They're going crazy on the fixed gear brakeless bikes, and that's just a crazy big inspiration for me to see what's possible on these type of bikes. The next question was, what got you into riding fixed gear? So I actually, as opposed to many other people, found out really quick about fixed gear wheelie bikes when I entered the bike life scene on Instagram, because they just started popping up on my For You page and I was like, damn, they can do wheelies without brakes, how's that possible? And then I looked it up and found out that it's fixed gear, so the pedals always spin and you don't have a coaster, so you can brake like that. And yeah, I always thought the bar spins and so on, the tricks looked really cool, and it was just crazy to me that you can do tricks that you can do on no other bike other than fixed gear. Of course, I wanted to convert a bike myself to fixed gear, but I never knew how you could do it because there's no wheel brand in Germany that sells the wheels that have the measurements for my bike. And then I found someone in the Instagram comments of a fixed gear rider that said, did you do it with a 6-bolt cock or how did you do it? And then I found out about 6-bolt cocks, which is where you put the cock of the gear on your rear disc brake. So you put 6 screws in and then you just screw it up and then you have a fixed gear bike. And I was like, no way this is possible, and how didn't I find out about this sooner? That's when I instantly ordered one. I was like, I have to try this out, and I just did, and it's wonderful. It works all the time. I had no issues since then with it. That's how I got into fixed gear bikes. It was literally Instagram kids that I saw and 6-bolt cocks basically. Bike Life Felix asked me, what is bike life for you and what are my goals? So for me, bike life is having a big community of people doing the same thing because they love riding pedal bikes. It's just such a nice feeling when you go on a ride out and you see the best riders in your country, and you also see people that can't even wheelie yet, but they all get along perfectly because it's just a big community and everyone supports each other, giving each other tips. It's just a nice climate of people. So I really think the ride outs are great, but I also think that bike life is riding alone or in really small groups. So what I also love is just grabbing a mountain bike friend, just going on a little city ride with them, riding your wheelie bike. They can do their mountain bike tricks, I can do my wheelie bike trick. However, what I have done the most in my time in bike life was training alone, just you and the bike, and put some AirPods in, practice your tricks. No one tells you where to go, no one tells you what you got to do. You can just do what you want to do and practice the stuff that you want to learn next. And that's what I always love the most about bike life, really. My goal right now is to get a bigger audience so that I can spread bike life to the whole world and maybe even revive Bike Life Germany in that sense, so that there are more people in my country going outside, because it's really just that nowadays. We're like 10-20 people that are still riding, while in America that's like an average afternoon on a Thursday, which is pretty embarrassing for Germany. But yeah, I'll try to revive the community here and hope to bring as many people as possible to wheelie bikes, because it's a great hobby and you don't always have to swerve moving cars to have fun. The next question was, what is the best memory in your journey of social media? I don't really have a best memory in that sense, but I just name my top 3 memories that really changed me. My first real success moment was when my first video on Instagram went viral, and that was of my 49-minute wheelie, which I already mentioned, and that had like, I think 100,000 views after a week, and that was like, oh, what the hell's going on? I could not believe it that this video was going so viral, because all my other reels only had like 1 to maybe 10,000 views. And this one just totally popped off, and there were like many big names in the bike life scene commenting, and that was wow for me, because it was my first ever viral reel. So that was a big turning point in my career and really motivated me, that I was like, yeah, I can go viral, I can do this, you know. So the next big memory that I had was when I created my second Instagram account, which brought me to where I am today, and it was called POV Ben. OGs will remember this name, but it was really small at the beginning. Then later I renamed it to Bike Life Ben to have matching account names everywhere. And there I started posting fixed gear content, because Gon actually told me, shoutouts to him, to just go on my fixed gear and post POVs. And I was like, yeah, that's maybe a good idea. Maybe the people will like it. And the first reel I ever posted instantly got 1 million views on short on Instagram as well. It just really went viral after that. I had no short that didn't perform under 100,000 views. And that felt surreal as hell, that I was like, damn, I have a format that's finally working. It felt really rewarding for me as a creator to know, okay, the people like the breakless content, so I would just keep posting that and see where it takes me. And here I am. And the third and final great memory of my social media career has to be, of course, this. My silver YouTube play button for 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now it's like a month after I got it, and I can't believe it. When I look at it, it just looks surreal. There's my name on it, and as a kid I always wanted to be a Minecraft YouTuber, and I thought like, damn, one day maybe I'll be a big YouTuber and so on. So I get my own play button, and yeah, here it is. This is definitely the best memory I ever had, because this feels so rewarding, better than any amount of money you could give me. This really is the best thing that I have achieved. And the crazy thing is that I didn't even think I'd ever hit 10,000 subscribers. And then I already hit 30,000 subscribers, and I was like, what's going on? Then I got 50,000 followers, and I could not believe it. I showed my friends and they also couldn't believe it. My girlfriend was so happy for me. Everyone was like, what's happening, you know? And yeah, then I finally hit 100,000 subscribers almost half a year after I started going viral on shorts with this, which is also a super short time frame, which I'm really thankful for, and maybe that's why it doesn't feel real to me. And for that, I want to thank all of you guys for supporting me and commenting on my videos and liking my videos and subscribing to my channel. It's really hard to grasp for me that it's so many of you guys, 100,000 people, that insane amount of people are following me and want to watch my videos. So I really want to thank you guys for all that, and let's see where the journey will take us in the future. Alright guys, this was my Q&A for my 100,000 subscribers special on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a comment and like the video, and you can also subscribe to not miss any future videos. And yeah, we'll see us in the next one.